Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 7th class in our writing course. In the first 6 classes, we have talked about words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. Specifically, we talked about a simple sentence, and we defined a sentence generally as a word or a group of words that includes a subject and its verb together and conveys a full meaning. Again, my friends, we talked about simple sentences, and we said that a simple sentence is one independent clause only with a full stop. And today, my friends, we are going to discuss compound sentences. So what is a compound sentence? A compound sentence, my friend, is two or more independent clauses. The most important question in this class, my friends, is how to link two independent clauses together in one compound sentence. Again, my friends, the main problem or the biggest problem for my students is linking sentences together. A lot of students have been complaining about this point, and generally the main reason I have decided to teach this course is teaching students how to link sentences together and then how to link paragraphs together in order to make our writing a little bit better. Now, my friends, let's answer the question how to link two independent clauses together in a compound sentence. We have 4 ways to do so, my friends. Today we are going to discuss only the first one, which is using the coordinators, or we call them the coordinating conjunctions, the fanboys. The second one is using adverbial conjunctions, and the third one is using semicolons. The fourth one is either using colons or dashes, which will be discussed in the upcoming classes. Today, my friends, we are going to concentrate on using coordinators, or what a lot of grammarians prefer to call them the fanboys. Generally, my friends, I don't know where does this abbreviation come from, but it has been very useful for students to memorize those linking words. Fanboys stands for, F stands for A stands for and, N stands for nor, B stands for but, O stands for or, yet for so, and Y for yet, and S for so. And as you notice, my friends, always when I use one of these words, it should be always preceded by a comma as a punctuation mark. Let's start discussing them in depth one by one. I would like to make a comparison between for and so, since they give contradicting meanings. Here we use for to give a reason. Generally, my friends, if we have two independent clauses, one of them is a reason of some of the other, we use for. In here, I could not come to school, for I was sick yesterday. In here, I have a result, my friends. And here, I'm giving a reason for this result. So I use for to give an explanation or a reason for a statement or a situation. A lot of students told me, teacher, can I use because? Yes, I can use because here, but it's not going to be a compound sentence, going to be complex, which will be explained later. So I use for, the word for, with the same meaning of because. I couldn't come to school for I was sick yesterday. The other example in here, as you see, my friends, I was sick yesterday, so in here, my friends, we mentioned the reason first, and then we mentioned the results. Again, my friend, we use so to give a result of statement or situation. So if we have two independent clauses inside one compound sentence and the second one of them is the result of the first, we use so to link them together. As you see here, I was sick yesterday, so I couldn't come to school. I can form the same sentence in two ways. The first one, if I use the result first, I use for to present the reason, or if I use the reason first, I need to use so to give the result. And in here, my friends, another example. My parents will not allow me to play outside, for it was cold. Again, my friends, I have here results, and here the reason. The reason why my parents will not allow me to play outside is that it is cold outside. And here, my friends, I let's say converse them. I say it is cold, it's so cold, so this is a reason here. And so my parents will not allow me to play outside. So the reason here is mentioned. I need to mention the results. I use so, then I use the results clause. Again, my friends, we use for to give reasons and so to give results. Number two, a comparison between and or. Generally, my friends, the words and or are easy, but there is a misunderstanding using them. A lot of students told me, teacher, give me this sentence. Teacher, I played football and had lunch. Generally, my friends, this is not a compound sentence because I have only one subject. This is the first subject here. And here we have two verbs. This is compound verb. So, my friends, this is a simple sentence with a compound verb because it contains more than one verb phrase, and it doesn't include any other subject, only we have one subject. But here, my friends, we had a great time in Canada. Of course, I use here the punctuation mark, the comma, and we bought a lot of things. Let me just write it. And here, my friends, I have the first subject, then I have the coordinator, and after that I have another subject. So as long as I have two subjects and every subject has its own verb, whether the verb was compound or simple, I have a compound sentence. Again, my friends, I have subject number one, a coordinator, and another subject and another verb. That's why I call this a compound sentence. If I have only one subject, whether the subject was compound 1,000 words, 200 words, it's not important. It is one subject, and we have here compound verbs. As long as I have one subject, it is a simple sentence. On the other hand, if I have more than one subject inside the same sentence, and each subject has its own verb, whether the verb was simple or compound, I say that I have a compound sentence. Again, another sentence, we could stay in a hotel, or we can explore the city. And here, my friends, I use or, which is used to offer options or alternatives. Again, my friends, we have subject number one, subject number two, verb of subject number one, verb of subject number two. And generally, my friends, that's why we can call this sentence a compound sentence. So we use and to add information, further information, and we use or to give options and or alternatives. And here, my friends, I go to comparison number three. I compare between but and yet. Generally, my friends, I use but when I talk about logical contradiction. In here, we use but for logically contradicting situations. If I mention two situations and they contradict one another, but logically, it means this contradiction could be logical or could be expected. Generally, I use but. But on the other hand, when I use yet, I here explain the contradiction between two situations which is not logical, which is not expected, which is strange a little bit. In here, my friend, I use yet. Let me give you these two sets of examples. I'll start with the first one. I called you so many times. So when I call someone so many times, I have two options. Either this person will answer or will not. So it is logical to answer, it's logical not to answer. And here I called you so many times, but you didn't answer. Logically, maybe you were sleeping, maybe you were busy, and this is totally accepted and expected. But here you say, you told me to call you at 7 p.m., for example, and you emphasized that I should call, and you told me so many times to call, yet you didn't answer. Because in here, my friend, it wasn't expected of you not to answer my phone call, and you were the one who told me to do that. Again, my friends, you told me to call you at 7 p.m., so I expect from you answering my phone call. Yet you didn't answer. You told me to call you at 7 p.m., yet you didn't answer. The second set here, we have Sarah studied hard for the exam. So I had Sarah, she's my friend. She had studied hard for the exam, but she didn't pass. Maybe she left few pages, maybe the questions were very difficult. And generally, we expect people to pass or to fail the exams, and this is totally logical. Even if you study hard, sometimes you were not lucky, sometimes you have conditions you were not expecting. But the main idea is that here I have contradicting situation, two contradicting clauses, but the result here was a little bit logical, accepted, it could be expected. So I use but. Sarah studied hard for the exam, but she didn't pass the exam. She was unlucky. She didn't study, for example, few pages. The reasons are in millions. And here, my friends, we say Sarah hadn't studied a word for the exam. Sarah, before the exam, hadn't done anything. She had been eating, she had been sleeping, she had been playing, but she hadn't studied a word. Yet, she got the full mark. Generally, my friends, here, I have a statement and I have its result, and here the result is totally unexpected, totally illogical. That's why I use yet to connect these two situations. The last coordinator, my friend, is Noor. Generally, my friends, Noor is a little bit complicated and a lot of students have been complaining about it. Let me explain it for you quickly. Generally, my friends, there are three main points to understand while talking about Noor. The first one is that always Noor is used after a negative statement, which means before Noor, you should always write or read a negative sentence or a negative clause. And here, my friend, for example, we say Sarah doesn't like Jack. Scientists couldn't find a cure for cancer. This is here before Noor. Always before Noor, we use negative clauses, which means Noor is used after a negative statement or before it a negative statement comes. The second point is that the structure after Noor is interrogative or a question structure. Of course, here we don't use the question mark because although the structure after Noor is interrogative or a question structure, but the meaning refers to a negative statement. Let me explain it here. We say Sarah doesn't like Jack, nor does she like his family. In the first sentence, my friends, you can notice that the independent clause is in negative statement. In here, after it, we use the question. If you put your hand here, does she like his family? You expect a question here. Does she like his family? This is a structure of a question, but the meaning, my friends, as long as nor here, the meaning is that this is negative too. I can say Sarah doesn't like Jack, and we say here, and she doesn't like his family. Or I can say Sarah doesn't like Jack, nor does she like his family. Both structures are correct. Both of them convey the same message and give the same meaning. But generally, for professional writers, I prefer to use the first one. We say Sarah doesn't like Jack, nor does she like his family. Again, my friends, you could be deceived by the structure after nor, but it is, although it is interrogative structure or a question structure, it refers to negative. So don't use a question mark here. Another example, my friends, here, scientists couldn't find a cure for cancer, nor will they find it sooner as I expected. If you try to hide here everything, will they find it sooner as I expected? You can use a question mark here because the structure is a question. But as long as you are using nor here, my friends, you have to understand that although the structure is a question, but the meaning refers to negative. And here before it negative, I say scientists couldn't find a cure for cancer, and they will not find it sooner as I expect. So both structures, my friends, are accepted. To say scientists couldn't find a cure for cancer, nor will they. Here, the interrogative structure, but again, my friends, it refers to a negative meaning. Or I can say scientists couldn't find a cure for cancer, and they will not find it sooner as I expect. That's it for today, my friends. I know this class was a little bit hard. I recommend every student who didn't understand 1 or 2 points to replay this video again and play some Kahoot games which are going to be related to compound sentences and fanboys, coordinators, or as some people call them, the coordinating conjunctions. Again, my friends, study hard because from this class on, the most important information are coming and the most difficult ones. Concentrate, my friends, so that when we talk about paragraphs and essays, you will not need to go back to these classes, so that you will not need to go back to these classes and you are aware of their importance. Please, my friends, try to understand these videos now, because if you don't, you will need to go back to them when we talk about paragraphs and essays. Thank you again, my friends, and see you in the upcoming classes.